Okay, we'll move to the study session. And first thing there is the Globe Refiner Sculpture Foundation. And if you will remember, about a year or so ago, we moved to accept the sculpture donation from the Mengenbach Foundation. That is well over a $200,000 donation to put life-size bronze statue and some other things at the corner of Ash and Marlin and that open area right to the corner there of the community building. And part of that agreement was that we would furnish the foundation for the sculpture. I had talked with Jeff about how much we could do in-house. We know we have a busy summer, so I went ahead and talked with Hutton about how much they could do and do the research, and there is a lot of work to be done to even bring a proposal, and they have done that, so I'll call on Luke Gaiman. The presentation is on the screen, and Luke will come up and give us the detail at the microphone here. So most of you know Luke. We worked with him through the entire renovation of the community building, and happy that they would consider this.
Hi, everybody. All right. What's that thing? You hearing me? Now I can walk through this letter, which is really just a graphical talk about what's included. Is that
That's fine.
Does that work for
Yeah.
everyone? Okay. So yeah, like the mayor said, we had worked together. I've talked with Sutton Betty, the sculptor, who's also acting really as the workforce that's going to set a lot of these pieces, to make sure that the proposal from Hutton didn't include anything that he was already providing. So I'll kind of walk through where that is, because it's a pretty unique situation. The scope of work that we would have, we did a lot of, we've already really done it. We surveyed the area to see how the water is going to have to get off the site, because you're going to put a big block in the middle of it with that sculpture. There was also some grading that wasn't really considered. There is a concrete stoop, really roughly a 4 foot by 4 foot pad that's 8 inches up off the ground at the very northeast corner of the building, that somebody could, kind of step up onto to step through a doorway, and that doorway just accesses the fire protection system. You can only access it from the outside. Well, that stoop was going to be a tripping hazard. It was going to be in the way. It was going to block water. So we worked with the city plan review to see if that could be removed. So that's what we're talking about there. In the grading also kind of talked in with removing and disposing of that concrete stoop. And then what ultimately, you'll have a brick paver, which is 4 inches thick. Underneath that, you have about 8 inches of rock to create a good stable base so those pavers stay flat. So we're going to dig out the existing mulch that's there now. We'll also dig out the rock, or dig out the dirt to get that to the grade it needs to be. We'll barricade that so that nobody can step off that edge as we're working. This is following an order here as we've done it, so I'm jumping ahead a little bit. Sutton Betty, the sculptor, he requested that there would be a crane on site to help him lift off the major big heavy pieces of this sculpture. It has a steel framework, then it has all the marble, the bronze, and then the top piece. And he said this would all be set. So we included budget just for an 8-hour day with a crane and an operator to lift those off. The people that will be actually assembling it will be Sutton and his staff. I do have a picture, but really around the perimeter of this, the two sides, kind of an L-shaped, where this plaza would touch the community building. There's a small little amount, a 1 foot wide strip of sidewalk ultimately, so we will pour that. Then we would have the 8 inches of rock, the brick pavers. I do have some pictures. I don't know if I included that in the packet, but I have some paper copies here. Sutton's intent would really be to have that mimic a baseball or a basketball court. Now, this is a brick paver, so it's not going to look like a piece of wood, but we have a really long linear paver, and you can get it in different colors of wood, so it actually does look pretty neat. And I have some pictures of that to show. I do have a sample in my car in the parking lot. It was too heavy to carry in. So if you guys wanted to see an actual sample, I have a bigger one that gives you a pretty good representation of what that would look like. That can all change if you guys don't like the look, but.
Yeah, I did look at it, out there, and we'll use 2 or 3 different colors. If you notice, when you look at the basketball court, not everything is the exact same shade on a wood floor. So it will mimic a wood floor, but hold up to weather as best we can.
There's 3 benches, supplied by, Sutton Betty, and those are, you know, a big, heavy, either a precast concrete, which is supposed to mimic, stone, kind of a cast stone, and marble. So we have, concrete foundations underneath those that Hutton has budgeted. And then we have of course, the big, the main kind of triangular shape foundation that will hold up the sculpture itself. We did include a price for 4 LED in-ground lights. So really what you'll see in front of the sculpture, 2 in front of the sculpture and 2 on the back side that kind of light that the history in that kind of etched in that marble. They'll look like a clear disc that's flush with the top of the brick paver surface, and inside there that has an adjustable beam that can shine up and light the surfaces of the sculpture.
Yeah, and the reason why we have 2 in the front and 2 in the back, the 2 in the front are to obviously light up the sculpture at night. The 2 in the back, there is history and stuff etched in marble. And so if you come after dark, you still could read the back of the sculpture and the verbiage that's on there. So we decided to put 2 extra lights on the back as well.
I think I might have skipped over this. The sculpture will appear to be sitting on a cast stone base. When you look at it, in actuality, the sculpture it sits on a steel structure, and it sits up about 8 inches off the rock or the brick paver itself. But this base that it looks like it's sitting on is from pieces of cast stone. And those pieces actually slip in underneath it after the sculpture's set, and they're grouted in. So that work is a mason's specialty. And so Sutton said, I don't have a mason, can you include a mason, come in and set those? He supplies the pieces and we set them in place. So that's included in there as well. Hutton included all total costs. I mean, this would be the total cost to supply management and all the fees required as a construction project within the city. That's included in this proposal for the guaranteed maximum cost of $49,700. So any costs under that would be not billed to the city, or really back as a refund.
Okay. When we did this, we estimated the cost was going to be between $40,000 and $50,000. So we're right in that cost. I think the maximum hours to manage this, and Luke has taken it already, was 16 hours, and we've already exceeded 16 hours, so we're on Hutton time for what he's been doing. But the thing that I want to point out is to work with the sculptor to do all this has taken a lot of work to get just to this point. And we have a piece that is going to be unique in the world. They are unique in that they're the first gold medal basketball winners in the Olympics. And we need an absolute, flat, perfect foundation to set this thing on. It was going to be put down on September, the first weekend in September, but due to the coronavirus, we have about a 30-day delay, so it will be somewhere between the 6th and the 12th of October, which we hope is not an early snowstorm, and we're still good, beautiful weather. But this work would be for you to get it done if we approve this, probably in August, July, August timeframe, so that we have it all done. And if something happens that they can come in early, they can come in early, but we need to know that we have this. And I think the sculptor may make a visit before we set this thing to see that we have everything. And we've lined up this whole thing, so absolutely ensure once this is all said and done that there is no drainage that will hang around the edge of the building. It's gonna come off that corner, and they will manage the whole thing for us, and in this is, the crane is included in this, which is why we're up a little bit from what we originally maybe talked about. So with that, or do you have any questions?
How many pieces is that sculpture?
I don't have a thing. The sculpture itself is life-size. All of the whole team in the picture that you see at the museum, or we have a couple here, will be, I don't know, 20 feet?
Probably, yeah. Do you guys have the pictures that were
Yeah.
included?
Yeah, and then, there'll be stuff on the back. The sculpture itself sits on a heavy steel frame, and then it's put in there, like he said, and then there's a capstone on the top of it, and then on the back is marble that has been etched with history of the thing. And then there are, can you turn that? There are some benches that are in the back there
You see the one on
that see
right.
those three black benches that are going to be in the back, and that piece that you see on the ground there is what those heavy pavers are to try to mimic a basketball court.
Right.
And so all of that will be done. The cap on the top is to highlight that. That has to be set separately once we've got everything in there and leveled out. But it will be a unique corner period, and it will be lit up with lights that are flush with the surface, as Luke said. So
Yeah.
that's the way it sets, and
There's multiple pieces, really, to answer your question. There's a lot of pieces that the sculptor is supplying.
but once it's in, it looks like that main piece looks like one big piece.
Okay.
But it will come with different components, and once they finish it out, it will look like one piece. But it'll also have the heavy black marble benches behind too.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Well, appreciate the presentation. We cannot make a decision on this, so I will ask for it to be put on the agenda for next week in the commission meeting so that we can vote to do that. So this is the time, if you have a question, to ask a question now. Janetta?
You had mentioned a $200,000 donation. Is that coming to the city, or are they paying? the
No,
sculptor
they're
directly?
paying directly.
Okay.
Yeah, all we pay for is the foundation. Okay,
What fund,
any,
what fund are we taking that out of? You already have one set up?
Janetta and I talked about that, and we can either take it out of money still in the community building fund, or we could do it on a CIP, unencumbered fund. We have two choices.
Yeah, my recommendation, from the 2019 temp notes that were issued to pay for this, there's $75,906.32 left in that CIP fund for the community building project, so that's where I would suggest the money come from.
Yeah.
Good.
That's probably what we'll do next week and authorize it that way. Okay. Okay, we're on to the fire department.
You guys approved the acceptance of the $2,000 from Williams Energy, and we were asked what equipment we were purchasing with that $2,000. We did come up with some. We also have another fundraiser that's coming in from Pizza Hut, and that raised somewhere around the $700 as well, and that was towards COVID expenses. So we identified 3 pieces of equipment that we could utilize with that, and they were 2 suction units and a LifePak 1000 from Biomedical.
Okay.
Okay, so between the 2,000 we have from Williams and 700 we're getting from Pizza Hut, that will fund this equipment.
Yeah,
Okay,
$2,118.
okay.
Bring it next week.
Anybody have a problem? Nope. Okay.
Bring it.
All right, thank you. Okay, Chief.
3 things I have. The first one, I don't know if this needs to be done by commission or if it's okay that I sent them a letter to cancel the crossing guard program with all city management. They were charged us $73,000 a year. We can do it in-house through the police department for $43,000. So do I need to bring that to commission to cancel the crossing guard contract?
We can approve your cancellation,
Okay, so I'll bring that next week?
and
Okay.
you've already sent it, correct?
Yes.
I think when we come back into session, I'd like to approve what he's already done.
Just ratify it, yeah.
We'll ratify your.
Okay.
Okay,
For the benefit of everybody here, you'll split that cost with, the high school has agreed to split that?
Yes,
or
USB
split it?
418, I visited with Shiloh, Vincent, and Gordon, and they agreed to 50%,
And the 4,300 is wages only?
43,000.
43,000 is wages only, or,
Yes.
okay.
he still has a breakfast hangover.
So,
Okay.
yeah,
That doesn't include benefits, though. That's, yeah,
I don't think
Like-
crossing guards have ever covered.
yeah. You have to pay payroll taxes and things of that nature, so,
Okay.
so there'll be some that come from that.
Okay. The only other thing from that is that all city management's going to give us all their safety vests, their jackets, everything that they suited them with for $712. It would have cost us about $2,000 to buy it all, so we're going to end up buying that from them. Second item I have, since we're going to get rid of the all city management, is they begin the hiring process and accept the job descriptions for crossing guards and a supervisor. So I'd like to bring that next week as well.
Yeah.
And
Your only problem is we have a hiring freeze, so now we have no guards.
that's it.
I'm only being absurd. Please bring it.
And then the last item is Voice Products LLC, known as Dragon. It's a dictation system that the officers can use. They talk into a microphone and it types it on the screen. It helps them get their reports done faster. McClarty got this last year. It was $16,000, but every year it costs $1,953 to keep this program going. About half the officers use it. So that would be the other item I have to bring next week.
You bring it next week, write him a letter and tell him what he's costing you.
Has the district agreed to the contract with the crossing
I
guard?
don't have it yet, but they verbally agreed with me. Yep.
Okay. Wayne Burns.
Morning.
Morning.
First item I have is the water park. This is a lazy river sewage pump that would not run. Labor took a long time because it's in the pit and wasn't easily accessible. We had to get the repairs to protect the, repairs done to protect the jet pump motor that we replaced last year with the impellers. The cost is $4,170.12.
Did you do that before we voted on opening the swimming pool last week?
We
Pardon?
discussed this earlier in the year. We knew
Yeah,
this.
we had that earlier in the year.
I guess we failed to get all of the applicable charges to open the swimming pool.
So,
Poor job reminding us.
the next item is declare public lands and facilities, equipment, and property as a surplus. The City of McPherson Public Lands and Facility has several pieces of equipment that have exhausted their useful life and no longer serve the needs for the City of McPherson. It is the desire of the staff to declare the subject equipment as surplus. Equipment will be auctioned off by Purple Wave on Tuesday, August the 4th, 2020. And you should have a list of equipment there.
You passing that
Okay.
around to all the other
We'll pass
departments?
it around, yeah.
Make sure everybody gets
We'll do that this week.
equipment in that they want to get rid of? Okay.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Oh, next one will be, I'm gonna represent Nick here
Okay,
from the community building. He was wanting to redo the contract with the middle school. He says, we'll give or take a few hours, used, the hours that they requested is 208 hours, 152 hours of practice hours, and 56 game hours. At the nonprofit rate at $21 an hour, that's $4,368. He would recommend a discount of $500 for a long-term lease, and he just wanted to make the lease read $3,800 for the middle school, and he would like to be able to present that to him. So we can bring it next week.
sure, I don't have a problem.
Yeah, problem. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, Public Works.
First item I have is change order number 12, which is final change order for the Plaza East Place construction project. This adjusts all final quantities and is an increase in the contract, $5,818.96. The majority of that was the additional driveways into the Fairfield end, which wasn't billed at the time the plans were put together.
This is,
Yeah, you, you're going, Bartlett.
yeah, bring it.
Okay,
Next item I have is Plaza East Place Street Reconstruction Project, second amendment to the drawdown agreement. The work is complete on Plaza East Place Street. The estimated total developer share of the Plaza East Place Street Reconstruction Project has increased to $1,097,093.40. We received the second amendment to the drawdown agreement signed by Larry Patel of Comort Development LLC. The second amendment to the drawdown agreement was edited and approved by the city attorney.
Okay,
yeah, yep.
should take care of that project
Rocking
then.
and rolling.
Glad to get that done.
Yeah, it turned out an excellent improvement.
Very.
The next item out of the street department is a 1,000-hour service for the cat loader with Foley tractor. Our annual service contract with Foley tractor for 1,000-hour service on the cat loader has expired. We've asked Foley Equipment to renew this contract for 3 years. 3 years is the expected end of life of the loader. They've quoted us a price for $1,270.55 per service. The cost is up from the previous contract of $1,075.58 per service. The service interval averages, although it's 1,000 hours, it averages one per year. So
Okay. Bring it.
Okay, administration, COVID-19 summary update.
Okay, you should all have a copy of the Emergency Operations Center Incident Action Plan briefing in front of you from June 15th to June 29th. Is the upcoming session that we'll be doing, but I'm also going to give you a brief review on the previous operational period and also talk to you about some of our objectives for the upcoming. And so I'm going to, obviously these are getting shorter and shorter each week as we kind of and continue to kind of work our way out of this whole pandemic. And so I'm just going to highlight, and kind of look for the yellow areas. Those are the ones I'm going to highlight. As far as this last briefing period, we continue to observe the most recent cluster outbreaks that have added several of the infected case numbers over the briefing period. As of this last Friday, June 12th, 5 p.m., the total case numbers of COVID-19 here in McPherson County is 38, with 29 having met recovered guidelines set forth by KDHE. The McPherson Water Park is beginning procedures to open beginning June 22nd, 2020, with restrictions including limited capacity and extensive disinfection. Guidance has been provided by water park staff on procedures that will be allowed as part of the water park opening. We continue to fine-tune those. We did get an update on social services and housing-related issues from Laura Vanderhoof, and I'll kind of hit the highlights on those. United Way of McPherson County continues to receive applications for individual and families needing basic necessities such as food, rent, mortgage, and utilities. We encourage individuals and families in financial need to apply for funds by visiting the United Way of McPherson County website. United Way of McPherson County Community Response and Recovery Fund has raised a total of $36,257, including contributions from the Kansas Health Foundation, CHS Incorporated, Williams Energy, and several other individual donors. So far, the United Way has spent $6,535 assisting 16 McPherson County households with rent, utilities, and medication. The Housing Coalition office will be staffed on site as of June 15th. There continues to be growing concern around food insecurity, transportation strain, and unreliable phone service for clients. It's estimated that in the coming months that the need for services through the Housing Coalition will double. We'll see whether that's the case. CASA, in-person meetings with clients have started, so you're going to see kind of a theme in some of these. Some of these things are just starting to open back up. New CPRF, the wheelchair clinic, is open on site by appointment to ensure time is allowed for cleaning and sanitizing. Grace Med, all services are fully open, and PPE needs to be monitored, and screening is still in place of all patients coming in for services. Disinfecting practices continue to be in place. The Lynchburg Summer Lunch Program and Marquette Summer Lunch Programs have been fully functional for over 2 weeks. In Lynchburg, they've served 177 meals a day, being served with 30 meals for adults. Marquette has served 117 a day, and their meals are offered curbside. Last year, the program served about 100 meals a day, so you can see there's an uptick there. Meals on Wheels. Meals continue to be delivered to those in need in a safe manner, Monday through Sunday, every week. There continues to be a concern about the issue of food insecurity in community, as food costs have increased and have significantly increased the cost of that program. I did have an opportunity to talk to the director of Meals on Wheels when we were initially looking at CDBG before we found out we weren't eligible, and they definitely have some concerns, but they've been lucky enough to keep some of their donors as well, so and continue to have some of those things. So they're struggling. They've had a lot of people step up and be big contributors for that. As far as from a social media and information standpoint, we sent an update out on social media about food resources in McPherson for those in need. It's just a lot of people just getting that information out about the programs we have out here is critical, and we did put some information out on that. But other public information output has slowed significantly from when we were in the heart of this pandemic, and we'll continue to put things out on an as-needed basis. City of McPherson has officially received notice of funding for the $132,000 CDBG funds to assist businesses The city's been following guidance from the Kansas Department of Commerce on eligibility requirements and plans to release further guidance at a later date and seek clarification. We did attend a webinar on that last week from the Department of Commerce, and we received conflicting information from what we originally did as it related to that. I did talk with the Department of Commerce, and I'm hoping that we get some clarification early on this week that may make it go back to allowing some level of eligibility for those that have already received federal funds. So until I have a definitive answer, we're not going to put that out to our partners as to what or what not will make them, those individuals ineligible, those businesses. So I'm wait. As soon as we get that clarification, we'll try to get that out as quick as we can. As far as supplies, the one thing I'll make note, we didn't have any outside requests for information over this last briefing period, but we have struggled to get, probably the big struggle has been medical gowns at the fire department. We've been unable to get any. We have zero on hand, and we just cannot get them. So we're going to continue to look for those things. Some of the other supplies have become a little bit easier to obtain, but there's a handful of them that are just really critically difficult to find. So that'd probably be what I'd highlight out of supplies. Otherwise, like I said, a lot of those things have started to come back into availability. I want to hit the EOC objectives. Go past all of the supplies.
Page 15.
Yeah.
You're on
Page
it.
15, you're right. I'll just hit on the new objectives. We continue to observe the impact of the new COVID-19 cluster outbreaks, and we're prepared to curb reopening plan for any public assets in the event we do have a more widespread outbreak. That's what we have the ability to do is change our cleaning aspects if we need to, if we do have a significant outbreak. At this point, I think the cluster outbreak that's out there has been fairly isolated, and I think they've done a very good job identifying
The second cluster through our liaison group has been decontaminated, and I believe anybody that wasn't positive is back to work this morning.
And then we continue to work with the McPherson Water Park leadership to ensure opening is done in compliance with preventive spread of COVID-19 and in a manner manner with preventive spread measures being considered and implementing those expectations set out by the McPherson City Commission last week when you guys authorized us to go ahead and open on a limited basis. We'll continue to plan on making adjustments to reopening procedures as it deemed appropriate by the governing body, and that kind of leads us to some discussion we wanted to have as far as opening. We met with the water park staff, MRC staff last week. We talked with each of you individually. I wanted to talk, actually, you'll find some of this detail actually on the regular agenda. So if you go back to that, you can kind of see.
Are we done with study
Yes.
session?
Yes.
Okay. The study sessions are over.